Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by BKCW. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined each and every day by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, and they're live at Duck Camp headquarters. And I want to give a big thanks to Duck Camp, as the entire week for the college football playoff right here on Texas Football is brought to you by the good folks at Duck Camp.
I just want to say, I wanted to give the chat an early Christmas present. We started at 8:10. So, Merry Christmas.
You're welcome.
Next year.
Well, it is a little chilly this morning, guys, but it's not as chilly as it is in South Bend. Be thankful for that.
Yikes. Google me. I'm cold. Google me.
Kurt Signetti's got his work cut out for him. But you know what? I mean, Notre Dame does too. These are not normal playing conditions for any football team, especially not college football teams. Up north, it may get this kind of weather once 4 or 5 years. But not only is South Bend tonight going to be a place like that, but tomorrow, Columbus, Ohio, when they host Tennessee. And then tomorrow morning, Penn State, SMU is going to be even worse. That may be the worst weather of all of them. I think game time kick weather there is supposed to be 15 degrees.
Good luck to our buddy Tom Luganville on the sidelines for ESPN on that.
Yeah, 15 degrees and 13-mile-an-hour wind. Woo. Wind chill down to 7.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll just say that. No, thank you. A lot of news to go over today. Blake, you mentioned the college football playoff starts tonight. The college football portal is still ongoing. Some news happening there with some things. High school state championships ongoing up at Jerry World and the DFW area. And then also we got to talk a little bit about what went on last night, Jerry. Jordan Pope.
Yeah.
The young man that transferred in from, was it Oregon State? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Dropped 42 in a basketball game last night for the Longhorns. If you would have told me somebody was going to drop 42 for this Texas team this year, I would have said it would be Trey Johnson. But Jordan Pope, tell us a little bit about that, Jerry.
Yeah, Jordan Pope he's a guy who can really score the basketball. And I think, look, New Orleans is not good. Let's start with that. Let's be clear about that. There's a reason they've lost by 30 plus to some people. They're Baylor, now Texas, and people like that. So let's be clear about that. But Jordan Pope still is a guy that averaged 17 and a half a game last year in the Pac-12, was a top 3 or 4 scorer in the Pac-12, coming in, trying to find his way, running a team for the first time, playing more of that point combo guard for Rodney Terry for Texas, and then really trying to work in Kaluma, Trey Johnson, and passing up shots of your own a lot. I think with Trey Johnson out these last couple of games, and he should return after Christmas. Jason Kent should return after Christmas for the Northwestern State game. They almost played him last night, from what I was told, but just give him the extra rest because New Orleans isn't very good. Is get all these guys more acclimated in the offense. And the reality is they needed Jordan Pope last night because Texas, they didn't. Tremont Mark did not have a good game. 2 of 9 or 10 from the field, 1 of 5 uncharacteristic from the free throw line, an 80% free throw shooter. But Jordan Pope hit 8 threes last night, 42 points, ties for 7th most in Texas history. So he's that was his third 30-plus point game of his college career. He's a guy who can shoot it and he can score it. But Rodney Terry, Frank Hake, the challenge for these guys is getting all of them to do it together when on the court at the same time. Not score 42, but get it to all look cohesive. Get Jordan Pope his shots while also trying to get Trey Johnson and Kaluma looks. That's the challenge for this team. They have really good offensive players, but can they pull it all together and shoot it and score it at the level they're going to need to in SEC play? That's going to be the challenge. Can you go score 75, 80 in the SEC? Because these teams these good teams in this league are going to put up 70 plus on you, whether it's home or away.
I'm just here's the reality. Texas is 10-2, but have they beaten anybody, Jerry?
Yeah, St. Joe's is a tournament team.
Okay.
Yeah, they have. Now, the 2 best teams they've played, they lost those games, UConn, and did not look good against UConn. And they lost Ohio State in the season opener. Obviously, that was without Tremont Mark. And I do think he would have made a difference in that game. The first 5 games in the SEC are brutal. We'll have a lot of time to talk about that, but it's at A&M, then Tennessee, then Auburn, then at Oklahoma, then at Florida. I mean, that's like 5 teams ranked in the top 15 right now just to start your SEC season. So that's going to be rough. But let's talk a little football.
Yeah.
Congrats to Jordan Pope on 42. That deserves credit anytime.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a hat tip. 7 most points scored. It doesn't matter. I know he's playing New Orleans. They're not very good. But it is what it is. All right, Longhorns, there's a little line movement in the Texas game today or for tomorrow, and it's going upwards to 12.5 now. The line opened at 10.5, now up 2 more points, Jerry. ESPN's prediction has Texas an 80% chance of winning this game. Do you agree with those predictions? Where are you at on this this scorecard for Texas?
I have 34-20 Texas. I mean, I'm sticking with it. And I'm not saying Clemson's necessarily going to score 20 offensive points driving the football field. So I'm saying Texas probably won't play a clean game offensively because I can't bet on them or predict them to do it until they do it again. But I think 34-20. I do think Texas is going to score on Clemson. I'm not saying it's going to be early and it's going to be some big lead at halftime, but I do think depth will be an issue here, and I do think Texas has the better football team in this game. And one thing I'll say about the last time Texas was on the football field, even though they lost that game to Georgia, I mean, Matthew Golden, DeAndre Moore, Silas Bolden, those 3 put up big numbers, all the trio in that game. Ryan Wingo probably had his worst game of the season. He'll bounce back from that. And when I say worst, I mean it's uncharacteristic to see him drop the football. And Gunnar Helm really wasn't involved in that game. So I really like where Texas sits offensively headed into the Clemson game. Actually, they just got to play a cleaner brand of football. Not perfect, just cleaner. Because there's a lot of pressure that comes with playing in the playoffs.
And some of that, I will say this, some of these prognostications that we make, if I'm picking Texas to win, the one thing they have to do, the one thing they have to do on offense is play a cleaner game. Yeah. I mean, I can understand 1 turnover, but not a 2 turnover difference in favor of Clemson, okay? That's number 1. And then number 2, I think they have to corral Cade Klubnik. Yeah. They can't let him beat them with his legs. Have to beat him through the air. Not that he can't do that. He's good. He can be good, but you can't just let him run free. That would be the part that would surprise me if Texas were to allow them to do that. But something to watch for. Will Butler with a good comment here. Texas scored 30 and 49 points, 34 and 49 points after bye weeks this season. I haven't really thought of it that way. But it's interesting if you look at it. I can tell you the difference. Maybe Texas didn't have film and hadn't been preparing all season long to face Clemson, unlike they had been preparing all season long to face a Oklahoma team or an Oklahoma team or a Florida team as well. Also, Jerry, C. Sarkisian was in front of the mic yesterday. He's a little feisty.
He was feisty.
He's
fired up.
He was.
Strong opinions. I liked it.
Yeah.
Coach Sark, I know you're probably listening. You got nothing else to do. I thought that was really impressive.
He was ready to fight. He was, and I mean that, and I don't mean obviously not truly fight, but he came out and first thing he did was talk about Diego Pavia. Mm-hmm. I mean, he went. Steve Sarkisian typically does not talk about another player on another team unless it's in very glowing terms. He just does. I mean, that's just not who he was. He came out just angry almost at the NCAA or whomever made the decision yesterday on Diego Pavia. I guess federal court saying that Pavia could be granted a couple of extra years of eligibility and not have his junior college tenure against him or held against him in his time at the New Mexico Highlands, I think it was. Mm-hmm. So now he gets an extra year at least, if not 2, for that. And then, he came back and he was a little chippy with a reporter. Yeah. He would not answer a hypothetical, asked him to rephrase it. All in all, I felt like, I don't want to say he was on tilt, Jerry, because that is a negative connotation. He was just feisty. I mean, he was.
Well, yeah. I don't agree with the Pavia ruling either. By the
way. Yeah.
Now, I talked to a college coach, not on Texas staff, obviously, yesterday evening about this. And him and the staff he's on predicts that this is moving to everybody's going to get 5 years. So if you go to JUCO, you have 2 years there, 3 years moving up. You have 5 years total of college football. He thinks there's the 6th year. This staff thinks the 6-year injuries, the 7-year injury guys, all this is going away, and they're going to move to everything's moving towards 5 years to play, no matter what. And that's what it should be, honestly. You can play more than 4 games as a freshman. There's no red shirt. Teams can play you, but you get 5 years. And that's it. We're done at that point. You know what? Injuries happen. It sucks, but you shouldn't play 6, 7 years. I mean, and I know that could have affected some Texas players in the past. Jordan Shipley had a bunch of injuries. I get it, but I think this is where this is moving, because I agree with Sark that, look, college sports isn't about 25, 26, 27, 28-year-olds playing.
No, it's not.
That's not what this is. Now, there's a difference. Jack Boomeester, he's a 1999 birthday, going to play next year, but he is doing 5 years of college at the same time. It's when you start your clock. So, I mean, you're going to have the guys that go on Mormon missions that come back to BYU, right? But 5 years to play, period. That's it. I don't blame Sark for getting a little feisty yesterday. I mean, if somebody's really going to ask if this is Quinn Ewers' last game, I'm going to say I'm not answering that question too. Give me a break. We're here to win a national championship. I'm not trying to take a shot at anybody, but I don't blame Sark for that.
No, I don't. You don't blame him. It's just the way he answered things yesterday, Jerry. Very.
He's fired up. He's ready to roll.
He was 48 hours out from a football game.
Yeah,
is what he was, and that's where I come out on it. Hey, we want to say thank you. Each and every Friday morning show is brought to you by our friends over at BKCW Insurance. We want to say thank you to them. Did your business have a frustrating insurance or employee benefits renewal? Most likely you didn't hear from your agent all year, and then right before it was time to renew, your agent delivered the bad news of a rate increase with no time to look for other options. That's happening this time of year. And when it happens, the agent is providing little to no value, and you're stuck in what we call the insurance trap. We've talked about it all year long. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs and effectively manage your company's risk and employee benefits. BKCW has risk consultants that specialize in many different industries, from construction and transportation companies, restaurant groups, nonprofits, school districts. You get the idea. You'll get matched up with someone who knows your risks and can help you escape the insurance trap. Get started with a free risk assessment at bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started and get the support you deserve. I was driving by on Lamar the other day and saw their offices there on Lamar and was reminded of them as well. Thank you so much for your sponsorship, BKCW. They're also sponsoring into next year. So thank you so much for being with us this time. Again, bkcw.com. Hey, Jerry, Sark also talked about injury yesterday. It looks like Quinn Ewers is he's fine, but he's battling through things. Kelvin Banks should be good to go. Sark was a little non-committal on Isaiah Bond, though. What did you think?
I mean, game time decision at best, today decision, whatever that is. Look, we've mentioned it ad nauseum. If his game is speed, 4.25, 4.28, whatever he's going to run at the combine, that's where his explosiveness is what makes him the player he is. If he's 4.5, he's a totally different player. And the reality is, Texas has good depth. Bolden will make plays if he's on a football field. I expect Ryan Wingo to have a bounce back game this week. And Matthew Golden's going to deliver, and DeAndre Moore's going to deliver. And you expect Gunnar Helm to have possibility. So I don't think it's a necessity he plays in this game for Texas. The necessity is to try to get him as healthy as possible, assuming you win and keep advancing in this playoff. Because if you can get through this game and you can get through next week, then you need that speed against Oregon, because that's going to be a little bit higher scoring game. You're going to have to be able to match some points in that game. So I look, if his speed's if he's not explosive, then he's not the same player. And that's just the reality. And I think Silas Bold will be more than fine if he has to go and play a lot more snaps. And by the way, the other thing that Sark said yesterday, we didn't comment on, guys, and you're hearing more coaches come out about the calendar.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's under his skin is having to host portal visitors. They're all, you have to host these guys on official visits. You're bringing them on your practice field during playoff prep. And that's not popular. I've talked to 3 different people on staff. That's not popular with anybody. Nobody likes this calendar right now because hosting a visitor and all the rumors that go around with NIL, and then that guy's walking around on your practice field. And what does that create? Questions, right, Bobby? I mean, that's a tough spot to be for college coaches in the NIL world. Yeah,
something got under his skin. Some people in the chat are saying, hey, that's just reflective of his attitude 48 hours out. It could be. And I think that my take on it, Jerry, is either he's laser focused and just wants to talk about what he wants to talk about right now, which is totally fine. I get it. I think Texas right now and Sark, he's kind of honed in on what he needs to do in this situation. You mentioned the portal. Time to talk a little portal recruiting news, you think?
Yeah.
Ready to do that? All right. Eric Singleton, the wide receiver out of Georgia Tech, visited Texas last week or over the weekend, into Monday, Tuesday, I believe. He also took a second visit to Auburn yesterday. It looks like it's coming down to Texas Auburn as of right now. And I know there've been, quote unquote, what do you call it? Prognostications or crystal balls going to Auburn. Texas hadn't been told no as of yesterday. So what does that mean? We'll see. But a second visit to Auburn, that might be a telltale sign. But I still think that Eric Singleton, the speedster out of Georgia Tech, a real possibility. Zachariah Branch and his brother Zion, Texas will have some interest there if something doesn't happen with Eric Singleton to the positive. At least, Jerry, what's the latest on those two?
Yeah, they're Zachariah and Zion. I talked to somebody close to that recruitment yesterday. They're at Georgia right now. And then they will be apparently going potentially, from what I was told by those at recruitment, to Arizona State in the next few days. We personally have not heard of Texas hosting anybody this weekend around the game. Based on what Sark the way he was talking yesterday, I don't think he wants a visitor on campus
at all
for a playoff game. They know. So we'll see where that goes. The key with the branch recruitment, we mentioned this early on here, is Zion and Zachariah are a package deal in this. Zion, the safety, was highly ranked, has not been healthy, hadn't had a healthy season since high school. He's been a pretty good player when healthy, and maybe not lived up to the billing. I mean, it's hard to when you're a top 50 ranked guy and you've been injured, quite frankly. But he's a safety, 6'2", 210, and the plan is to go together. And from an NIL perspective, who does that make sense for? That may not make sense for every program. And then the Branch family is looking at, they know Zachariah is going to play wherever he goes, but does Zion have a chance to play at the same school? That will be interesting as this kind of plays out. And I do think that will play into their decision. So where is that fit? That may not be at Georgia. It may not be at Texas. Maybe it's Arizona State. We'll see. But they're looking for the fit for both of them from a football and NIL perspective. That's really easy with Zachariah. He plays wherever he goes. With Zion, that's a little bit different of a decision.
Max Clare, the tight end from Purdue that Texas hosted last week. We talked about Texas bringing in 4 players overall last week. 3 of them have already signed with the University of Texas. The one that has not is Max Clare. He visited Louisville yesterday. He's also visited Texas A&M. This is the 6'4", 240-pound tight end. Apparently, Ohio State now getting involved with him, and he is originally from Cincinnati, so that could be a complicating factor there. But we do believe Texas is going to look in the portal for a potential tight end, even if they do not get Max Clare. So we'll keep our ears to the wall, our ears to the ground on that, and see if anything comes about. Blake, tell us a little bit, if you don't mind, about the state championship games that took place yesterday. I know a couple of teams that you were following took it to them a little bit.
That's right. So we need to give out some more congratulations here, and I'm going to put yesterday's score.
You, Blake, for getting the pick right.
Yes.
Well, I did miss the Stanford one. That's the only one that I've missed so far. I've predicted 5 out of 6 correctly, but Stanford loses to Ganado 30-28, but then Gunner just blanked Woodville 28-0, and then Columbus. We talked about that game in depth yesterday, Jerry. They beat Malakoff 48-14. And, we said a couple of days ago that we both felt like a lot of these games were going to be lopsided. 4 out of the 6 state games so far are by 14 points or more.
Yeah.
That's, by the way, just for pronunciation, folks, it's Ganado. Or
Ganado.
Really, if you're close by, it's Ganada. But you get the point. It's a Texas colloquialism there.
One of the cool things about Ganado is Dave Campbell's on Texas football on Instagram. They were kind of they did kind of a little special on the 87-year-old Ganado resident and fan who's been literally waiting his whole life for a state championship, and he finally got it at 87. He lived in Ganado his whole life. It's actually pretty cool if you look up Dave Campbell's Texas football on Instagram. They had a photo of him in Ganado at the business I think he has owned for years. It's actually pretty cool. But Columbus, really talented team, man. And look, this is kind of the ball has to bounce your way. You have to stay healthy. Columbus was a second-place team in their district. Hitchcock actually won that district. And then the quarterback, Lloyd Jones, going to Tech, tore his ACL in the end of the first half of the first-round playoff game. But you got to have some luck. You got to stay healthy, and you got to make the most of it when you have an opportunity. And that's what Columbus did, and respond to adversity, because they've had adversity on that team this year. And that's a really, really good state championship for Columbus, because it didn't come easy. And then they really pulled it together and played well, very well at the end.
Hey, Blake, the coach at Gunner a little bit, don't you? You've talked to him before?
Yes, and hoping to get him on the show early next week. Former Texas X, I guess I should say. Texas X, and very successful program there in Gunner. I know they won state last year, and I think they won the year before. So, they got something good rolling there in Gunner, Texas.
Yep, good stuff, man. Congratulations to all those teams. Who all's on tap today, Jerry?
So today, guys, we're going to start with Carthage in Waco, La Vega. That game will take place at 11 a.m. We'll follow that up with Kilgore and Salina at 3. And then the nightcap is Richmond, Randall, and South Oak Cliff. So talent all over the field throughout the day today.
This is East Texas Day. Carthage, big game, obviously, for Scott Surratt. He's going for his 10th state title at one school in less than 20 years, by the way. Amazing. And his son's only a junior. KJ Edwards is a junior. They have a few at the linebacker. DeQuavies Beck is a junior. They got some really good younger players there, too. So I think they got one more in them if they get this one. Then Kilgore, who gave Carthage their only loss this year, but I mentioned that. Jet Surratt, Coach Surratt's son, really had rolled his ankle in pregame warmups and really couldn't even push off. It was his right foot, and that's the only reason they lost that game. But Kilgore's had a really good season. They knocked out Ricky Stewart and Tyler Chapel Hill. Salina's kind of had a rebound this year. I don't know, Blake, you got Carthage and Kilgore today. And then South Oak Cliff Randall 15-0. But South Oak Cliff's played that schedule, man. I'll probably go with Oak Cliff.
Yeah, so I got South Oak Cliff on that one. I'm going to go Salina in 4A Division 1. Yeah, and and then their offensive coordinator is a buddy of mine, so I definitely got to root for them. And then in Division 2, definitely Carthage.
Yeah.
So, and since we won't get to talk about tomorrow's games tomorrow, since we got a little other things going on tomorrow, like the college football playoff, but tomorrow will be Highland Park and Smithson Valley. That'll be the 11. And then I believe North Crowley, also in Westlake, will be the 3 o'clock. And then Vandergrift and South Lake Carroll will be the 7 o'clock. If I have those two, maybe switched. I'll have to find the times on those two, but good games tomorrow as well, guys.
They will not be the focus of us tomorrow. That's for sure.
No.
I think that's it. I was looking at that other. Go back to the previous graph you had. I was looking at this, Jerry. What's interesting here is those teams up there. I used to cover recruiting and go out and do all this. 5 of those 6 teams have had players or prospects for 25 years.
Yeah.
So I've been to Sauk, I've been to South Oak Cliff, I've been to Kilgore, I've been to Salina, I've been to La Vega, and I've been to Carthage to look at players before. The only one I haven't been to is Richmond and Randall, and it's the new school.
Yeah.
So some of these programs have, and they just have history, and they kind of keep going with it,
I mean, for the Texas recruiting fans, obviously, Kilgore, home to Michael Huey, Eddie Jones, Britt Mitchell, multiple Texas Longhorn signees under Mac Brown. Jamar Toombs is a really good running back out of there. Went to A&M. I think he transferred in from Louisiana early in high school. But Richmond Randall, if you're watching these games, the sophomore running back is a guy that Texas really likes his name. Likes his game. And then obviously Chase Sims, the senior D tackles going to A&M. I think is a really, really, really good football player. South Oak Cliff's got a number of guys. Carthage, I mentioned, they're 3 juniors that are top players. Kilgore's DB's going to Michigan, I believe, unless he flipped. Sanders, whose dad was a stud at TCU. They also have a younger D tackle that may not be Texas level, but because he's 6 feet tall, 5'11 and a half, but he is a really good football player. Prediction for North Crowley Westlake. Bobby's going Westlake. I've been on North Crowley.
You think they're a team of destiny, don't you?
I do a little bit.
Yeah, I can sense that. You had that. You've been on them since you went up and saw them practice in the spring.
Yeah, I think their quarterback's an unbelievable leader in high school too. Like unbelievable leader. He's going to play slot receiver. I think he's going to maybe sign to North Texas to see if he can play quarterback. He was committed to TCU at one time. I think he's an unbelievable leader at the high school level. And they got so much talent. That doesn't mean Westlake can't win the game. I mean, but that's 2 of the better defensive coaches that are head coaches in high school football too, by the way. Southlake's a big one because Riley Dodge's obviously both those guys are going for their first state title. Somebody's going to grab their first state championship as a head coach tonight. Riley's been close. Vandergrift's, I think, been the one final and lost. Randy Allen, I don't know how many. I think that's 2 of the more tenured coaches in the state there at Smithson Valley and Highland Park, by the way.
Yeah. Really good programs.
Definitely.
Again, that is Trey Moore's team, right? Smithson Valley.
Yeah.
If you're wanting to know about that.
I got to step out a second. I'll be right back.
All right. Yeah, you got to make a phone call. Hey, I wanted to say this while we got you. We're here at Duck Camp right now. Come on by. It's over off of East Cesar Chavez. That's First Street down in Austin. Come on down. This is their retail store. That is their retail headquarters in the state or in the city of Austin. They have places around 350 different around the country that carry Duck Camp gear. Please check them out. Duckcamp.com is their online address. And it is made, Duck Camp is made for the people that live for the moments out there where there are fish to catch, birds to hunt, time to kill, and football to watch. They like doing all that stuff. So they built a company centered on it, based in Austin and dedicated to giving people best-in-class hunting and fishing apparel. Duck Camp has been tested from the backcountry of Alaska to the dove fields of Texas. It's ready to keep you cool, comfortable, warm, whatever you need. It stands up to the toughest of conditions, but also will happily sit down beside a fire and drink a few cold ones with you. That's more your speed. Shop hunting and fishing gear at duckcamp.com. That's duckcamp.com, or stop by the store if you're in town for the weekend. It's over again on East Cesar Chavez in Austin. And that is where Jerry and I are gratefully sitting here talking to you from today, right now. Jerry.
Look at all that gear at Duck Camp, man. Awesome.
Jerry's got this orange hat on, and I told him it may be too close to Clemson for him this morning, but he'll live, and he's going to have a little fun with it. But thank you to our friends at Duck Camp.
All right, guys.
Chris Barrett, I wanted to bring this up. That's correct. Toombs, I couldn't remember that. I thought he's from Louisiana. Good call. Pine Tree was where he was at. I knew he transferred into Kilgore. Thank you very much for that, Chris Barrett.
And also, I had that wrong a minute ago. The Westlake North Crowley is the nightcap at 7:00. So I had those 2 backwards. My apologies on that. And I wanted to read this one. from
Somebody called me
Epina.
that. Go ahead, Blake. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. He says, it's
Somebody
my
was
birthday.
mentioning Rocky Top Orange. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm Ryan Day. Now I'm not cheering for Ryan Day. SEC.
But I want
it just means more.
I want to say happy birthday to Epina. It's my birthday. Hook 'em from Rockport. Hope you have a great birthday. And then Edmund Lee, we appreciate you as always. Good morning on Texas football and Longhorn Nation from New Braunfels, Texas pecan and a cherry filled donut. Texas morning. OTF at 66.6 thousand subscribers, and a great Christmas present will be a UT victory. He's predicting 35-17 tomorrow and says hook 'em.
I'll take it for Christmas. I'll take that present for Christmas, and then I'll go down to Atlanta for New Year's.
Yeah,
I wouldn't mind doing those two things. Sign me up, Edmund. Thank you for the super chat, and happy birthday as well.
And then after that, Bobby, you'll pay $100 to park at Jerry World.
That's right.
So cut the gifts short this year.
And then
if we are at Jerry World, Jerry Hamilton and I will be doing a pregame show from the Walmart parking lot adjacent to it.
Yes.
We will do that. That will be a return to the scene of the crime. Our first live remote at a Walmart parking lot. Yeah, long time ago. That was fun times.
Yeah. Brandon Huey called me Jerry Gundy, but see, I don't have the mullet, man. No mullet.
You need to get one of those mullet hats from maybe Duck Camp can get you going there. Matty M with your super chat, we thank you. And they say, hook 'em, guys. Our offense needs to give our defense a week off. Give me a pick six by Colin Simmons on the strip sack. I'm pumped up for our Longhorns. Let's go. Icy Whites, please. 28-13 for the best orange. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get the Icy Whites. We talked about that yesterday, but I think everybody would take 28-13.
By the way, one of my predictions I hadn't made, but I'll give it out now. I've got Colin Simmons for 2 sackles Saturday.
2 sackles. While Cade Klubnik does not throw many interceptions, 5 all year, accounted for 40 touchdowns on the season. He does fumble.
Yeah.
And so a pick six that's a fumble recovery or a strip sack for a touchdown, entirely possible. So we'll see how that goes. But if we're looking to some things tomorrow, Jerry, I want to ask you this. I mean, what are some other things that kind of, unthought of things that you're kind of looking for? We mentioned Gunnar Helm maybe being a bigger part of the offense, where he was just totally quiet against Georgia after being a focal point almost all year. We've talked about Bert Auburn needing to connect. We've talked about play being clean, keeping Cade Klubnik in the pocket. What are some other kind of nuanced things you're thinking of for tomorrow?
I look for Texas to attack the center guard for Clemson.
You've mentioned that before.
Center, right guard. I think those guys, can they sustain blocks? I think that's been an issue all season. When Clemson hasn't run the ball well, that's a telltale. Now, Pittsburgh may have put an extra hat in the box at times in that game, but still, people have attacked center guard against Clemson this year pretty well, because Maffa is a downhill back when he's at his best. And what is that? That's the other thing. What is Phil Maffa going to be Saturday? 50%, 40%, 25%? Nobody really knows. All you know is he's got to have shoulder surgery after the year. So, I mean, he's 50% from the abs up. We'll say that on Saturday, right? He's only got one shoulder he can lean into you with. But I expect Texas to attack center, right guard.
You want to read that, Blake?
Yeah, so I just found this. I was actually looking for some interesting props, but I came across this. This is Clemson offensive stats and trends. They've averaged just 10.3 yards after the catch, which is worst among ACC skill players. And then their wide receivers have averaged just 11.2 yards after the catch, which is tied for worst among Power 5 wide receivers. And then they have 606 receptions in 26 games, which is second best among ACC skill players. And then their 11.2 yards after the catch is also tied for third worst among FBS wide receivers. So some interesting notes there
So run and catch guys. Now Antonio Williams, I think, has a little bit of talent after the catch, but more run and catch guys, and that makes sense. They're young receivers. Bryant Wesco's a freshman. T.J. Moore's a freshman. So some of those guys are in their first year playing college football, Bobby, and more run and catch receivers in this scheme right now for Clemson.
Pete Kwiatkowski has been putting an emphasis on this since really, I got to say this, since the TCU game a year ago when Savion Williams went berserk after the catch.
Yeah.
He's like, look, we've got to stop teams from getting yards after the catch. You saw some of the results of that effort this year among the best in the country. Now it's stopping that. So that is another little factoid that I think probably pushes it there. Blake, do we have a guest here that I am seeing?
Yeah, longtime friend of the program, Will Matthews, is with us this morning. Will, how's it going?
What's up, guys? How are y'all doing? What's
Will,
up?
I already told the chat you predicted Texas 50-7, so we're past that.
You know I'm such a homer when it comes to predicting the score for Texas. Even the Georgia Texas game, I'm like 30-15 Texas.
Flip the script. We haven't talked to you since that game. What were your feelings on this being on the sidelines for that game? Because that felt like one that really got away and that Texas should have won.
Yeah, I mean, the first half was just so dominating. And you look at the time of possession, Texas had over 20 minutes, and I think Georgia had 9 minutes and 58 seconds, something like that. And you're looking at the score going into halftime, and you're saying, where are the points at? And so walked into halftime and walked into the locker room and all that, and was just like, gosh, these guys are dominating, but they've got to show that on the scoreboard. And we all know what happened in the second half, and Beck's out and Stockton comes in and does his thing. And, we weren't really as fast as I thought we could be to changing that defensive scheme. And we'd really seen a lot of quarterbacks who were pretty similar, OU, Arkansas. There should be a light switch that we could flip on for that sort of play. We should have had spies. We should have been ready. It's just a really hard one. And like you said, Jerry, it just felt like it slipped out of our hands there. Even going into it, the emotion and the focus on it. And I mean, even at the end of the game, I'm interviewing Jahdae Barron, and he walks up and you could just see his face. And I'm like, Ja, what's up, man? And he's just like, man, I can't believe this. I think the guys really felt as if they had everything going and they had it in their hands. And just to let that slip away is pretty tough. And right, wrong, or indifferent, we're still in the playoffs, So I think
does that lead to a really focused, energized team to saying, look, man, everything's still in front of us, and now let's go prove everybody wrong that's saying we're not as good as people say. People say, Texas is overrated. They're not that good. They can't beat Georgia. They're going to lose in the first round. But that gives those guys motivation, right? You've been in that position before as a player.
I think it's the best place to be. Texas traditionally has we've really played well when we've gotten in a corner when we've needed to. Quinn steps up in big games. And really that's going to be the conversation for this week. If Quinn can stay away from the catastrophic turnovers and really can just keep a handle on the offense, moving it forward, focus a little bit more in the red zone, I think the team can do what we think that they can do. But it can be really deflating. I think the guys are going to fight from this spot and really come out with a quick start. At least that's what they're expecting.
Will, you're an old fullback, so I'm going to ask you, what should they be doing in the red zone? Should they have a fullback in there? In all seriousness, what do you think the red zone woes are for the Longhorns, and what do you think they need to do to get out of them? Arch Manning's been mentioned. Better run game. What do you think it is?
I think it's all that. every single piece of that. I loved when we brought in Arch and he took off over that left side and the tackling guard pulled, and it looked like a sea of people moving on the left side as he. Now, of course, that was against Georgia, and he and our guard got beat so that those yards were negated, but. We have got to find a way to get that guy in the game, have got to solidify the run, because really for me, the key for this game is if we can run the ball and oppose our will on Clemson, I think we've got this one in the bag. But if they can, I think it, and Bobby, I really think it comes down to mentality. The run game, of course, is about ability, but it's about mentality. I know that I'm going to line up against you, and we're going to go man on man, hat on hat, and I'm going to win. And that has got to be the focus for the red zone. I would love a fullback. If we can get Juan Davis moving around back there, that would be awesome. I think I tell Coach, I've got 2 plays in me. Use them the best you can, though.
We look at this game, and it is the first college football playoff game in DKR ever, really, since this new format transpired. You look around the country, the other 3 games are going to be played in sub-freezing temperatures. We had a photo up early that we should reshare, Blake Monroe, and show this to Will just so he can see what South Bend, Indiana looks like this morning. But there we go, Will. Look at that. Got a snowman being made in South Bend this morning. We look at this. What kind of, you've been in big games in DKR. We've struggled to think of a home game that was as meaningful as this one, maybe from a big picture perspective, because look, Texas wins 4 games. They're national champs. They lose and they go home or stay home in this respect.
Yeah.
What do you think about the home field advantage? What do you make of it? I know there's going to be some differences. You're on that crew that is on part of the radio broadcast. What are some of the nuances that we might see out of this broadcast, and what else is going on Saturday?
Yeah, so it's an interesting home game. They're kind of dialing back a lot of the lights and a lot of the hoopla that we kind of rally around on game day. They're pulling that stuff back, but as we know, Longhorn Nation are going to show up, and they're going to be rowdy, and they're going to do their thing. And so even though it is a little bit more muted on the Texas side and the home game status, it's still all go from the fan side, which is really interesting. On the radio, it should be pretty regular. You're going to hear us kind of the same cadence. And post-game show and that kind of stuff. But I think what's going to be really interesting is I've heard from a lot of fans that they are really excited about seeing a game in December in DKR. Yeah. And that has just, I think everybody I've talked to has been like, I got to get tickets. I got to be there. I got to be there. Mostly because this is the first time something like this has ever happened. A lot of people are excited. I really expect there to be an elevated sense of energy there, because we know that, if we lose, you just stay right there. You just get in your car and go to your apartment and get ready for all season. And that's a hard reality, but it's the truth.
I got to ask, talking about imposing your will, let's ask about yours. You ran the marathon recently. Why do you solve all your toenails, and what was that recovery like?
Oh my gosh, I think it was Rod. What did Rod say? I lost some toenails. Rod, I've got all of mine at the moment. I'm holding on to those big ones. Make sure. So I mean, really, I trained super hard for one reason. I would be in New York, and I would get to go out to dinner with my wife after. So we went out, and I hobbled around that big city. we had pizza, we had dumplings, everything that we could possibly get, cheesecake. It was just a really, really incredible time. I mean, and I got to talk to, I think after that show, I'm sitting with Sark, and I've got my marathon clothes on, and he looks at me and he goes, Will, did you run the marathon? I go, yeah, that's what I do in my off week. So
Yeah, exactly. Y'all game planned. I have the toughest game I've ever played in.
you guys.
You talk to Sark a lot for the
Yeah.
radio gig, Will. I want to bring this question up from Suave RP, and it's more of yesterday. Sark was a little testy, a little feisty with the media, and not necessarily at anyone in particular, but just it felt very abnormally quick. And I mean, I'm not mad about it. I don't think it's negative.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that this has something to do with it? Sark is tired of all the BS hate towards Quinn, hearing all the rumors, etc. Do you think he's particularly sensitive about that topic in your view right now?
You know, the one thing about Sark is he is really, really focused and very calculated in the way that he meets with the media. He is very honest. He always gives us a really good look behind the scenes. And Sark knows what he's doing when he gets behind the mic. And really what I think he's trying to do is let everybody know it's our job, and we know this, Jerry, Bobby, Blake, we know this is our job to find something, a story, and talk about it. And no matter guys like us, we're trying to help the program. We're respectful to them, but when it gets outside of our community, sometimes it gets a little bit difficult. And the national media and the way that they're talking about Quinn and the performance and just how we played against Georgia. And I do think that there is a little bit of friction there. And I think he wants to let everybody know that internally inside of the program, they love Quinn. Quinn's QB1. He's the guy, and we will be riding this ship until it's time for us to go home, or we've got that natty. And so I really just watching him play chess in the way that he talks to the media, as well as the fans from recruiting all the way. The guy is he knows how to bring the right emphasis to the right thing, and so trusting him is watching him do his thing. He's a good one.
Hey, Will, before we let you go, and thank you as always for joining us, what are kind of some keys for the game tomorrow in your eyes?
Yeah, Jerry, I think that's a really great question, and I've just really been thinking about it. I mean, you can easily say things like catastrophic turnovers and 6 points from Burt. Getting those points back would have been the game. You can say all of the other things, but I really think it comes down to running game. When Texas has a consistent running game and they're moving the ball and they're staying in front of the chains, what that really does is it allows our QB1 to kind of do what he does best. And that 5 to 10 and the 10 to 20 area, he's lights out. He gets the ball to the right guys. He does what he's supposed to do. And when Trey Wisner, Jaden Blue, and of course, the running game, screen game is moving, it really takes the pressure off him, and he's able to do that. I mean, even, and I believe this, even in the face of the catastrophic turnovers, when the run game was consistent, we were able to overcome. And when
look at A&M. Look at A&M. Yeah.
And when we weren't able to consistently run the ball, whenever we had those turnovers, whenever we had adversity, we weren't able to overcome it. And you just say, even every time that the 2 times we played Georgia, and when we have not been able to impose our will, it's really, we haven't been able to get those guys in the backfield, the ball in the right way. And when we do, good things happen, whether that's the pony package or however we can do that, getting Juan Davis in there, getting Gunnar Helm going, and all of that's really in the run game. When we do that, we're hard to beat.
Will, thank you so much, buddy, as always, and look forward to you tomorrow on the radio. You guys have fun, and let's root the Longhorns on to a victory tomorrow, buddy.
Let's go.
Take care, Will. Will Matthews. A sideline analyst for the Longhorn broadcast tomorrow on radio. Good guy, former Longhorn fullback. Just a positive member of society, I think would be a great way to put that. Just a really good guy overall. Glad that he was able to visit with us today. Just a nice guy. Nice guy, man.
For sure. All right, Jerry, it is time for you to shine. It's time for you to tell us all about Manscaped.
Well, Clemson fans, I don't know if you know this or not, but a lot of teams have come to Austin and got bushwhacked in the last couple of years. Yeah, bushwhacked, not where you want to be. So take care of your business before you get on the plane. It's the holiday beard and balls bundle. We're talking the Manscaped 5.0. All right, fellas, the holiday season is here, and trust me, you don't want to be the guy showing up with tangled tinsel in your ornaments. Think about what the people will be saying. Our friends at Manscaped have got you covered from hub to down the chimney with the Beard and Balls bundle. Featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 and the Beard Hedger, this bundle will make sure you're a gift worth unwrapping. Get ready for those mistletoe moments and get 20% off plus free shipping with the code ONTEXAS, all caps, at manscaped.com. And you got to remember this. This is why this is important. The Lawnmower 5.0. This is why it's important. Cuts through the North Pole of bushes with ease, gentle on your most delicate ornaments. You don't want broken or cut up ornaments on Christmas. Join the 11 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to stay sharp this season. Get the Beard and Balls bundle today and slay your grooming routine. Again, 20% off plus free shipping with code ONTEXAS at manscaped.com. Because Santa isn't the only one who needs his sack well groomed this year. And again, a reminder to Clemson fans, don't get bushwhacked in Austin. Handle your business.
Thank you so much, Jerry. That's a hard act to follow, but I'm going to do it anyway here and let y'all know about Factor. Notice how the days are shorter, but your to-do lists aren't. You can power through your busy days with Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled and feeling your best. Don't let shorter days of winter slow you down. Let Factor take shopping, prepping, cooking, and cleaning up off your daily list of things to do. And they have something for everybody. That's what makes them great. You can find guilt-free comfort foods like home-style chicken and gravy, loaded mashed potato pork chops, feel-good vegan options like sweet potato and chickpea curry, and globally inspired flavors like Peruvian shrimp and red pepper cauli grits. The variety they offer is unmatched. Every day, I'm having something new from Factor. Every single day, it's absolutely delicious. It's quick. It's easy. It's phenomenal. And like I tell y'all every morning, I had one of their wellness shots to get started. Today was no different. They have something for everybody for any time of the day. You can't go wrong with whatever you pick at Factor. So get started today. Head to factormeals.com/50Texas. Use promo code 50Texas to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Again, code 50Texas at factormeals.com/50Texas to take advantage of that 50% off your first box plus free shipping while your subscription is active.
Jerry and I are live here over at Duck Camp. They're sponsoring our entire week of college football playoff. Make sure you join us over here on East Cesar Chavez. The store opens at 10 o'clock this morning. So if you're looking for last-minute Christmas gear, make sure you check out Duck Camp, the store. They also have retail outlets, over 350 nationwide. But also, if you're just in town for the game, make sure you're come and check out the Duck Camp store here over off of East Cesar Chavez. I want to say this. I've been in town all week this week.
Yeah.
I have not seen, we're talking about crowds and whatnot, I have not seen many Clemson fans yet. Have you?
No.
I mean,
that's
more Clemson orange than I've seen all week that you're wearing on your head.
I think they're having a parade in Clemson because Dabo took 2 players out of the portal. Their college football lives just changed this week. Dabo admitted, well, he hadn't admitted he was wrong. In fact, nobody's actually called him out on this, but now he's suddenly going to the portal. I guess that's what losing 3 games will do for you when their fan base starts calling you out, but they're celebrating in the streets because they picked up the Purdue defensive end.
Yep. Will Helt.
Yes.
Is officially
by the way. He's a good player.
Officially the first portal player intake for Dabo in his history. 4 years into the transfer portal, by the way.
Parade.
And we'll see. Hey, look, one of the reasons why Texas is favored in this game is depth. the frontline guys for Clemson in general are just as good as the frontline guys for Texas.
Yeah.
It is the depth of Texas because in part of Texas's work in the portal that Texas is favored in this game, in my opinion, and also the experience with that. I mean, so Clemson, as we talked about, has 6 players on its defense that start that are sophomores or below.
Yeah.
That means they're probably going to be really good in a year or two.
If they're all there.
If they're all there, yeah. But my point being is that's a differentiator.
Yeah.
We'll see, we're 14 this now, Jerry, we're also 14, 15 games into this year. So is that going to even matter anymore?
Right.
I mean, we'll see if that's even going to matter as much because those guys are effectively juniors now.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if it'll be inexperience as much as it is depth.
I saw a question earlier that I wanted to respond to. If you can play in bowl games or the college football playoff, it does not count against your red shirt year, your 4 games, if you want to take a red shirt year, to answer that question. So yeah, there you go. They do not count towards your red shirt. So if you've played in 4 and preserved the red shirt, you can play in the college football playoff, and that does not take that away.
Hey, I want to say this to Colton Martinez, by the way. Colton is in the UT band.
Yep.
He's come by and said hello to us at the tailgates and whatnot. Colton is probably playing in his last game at DKR. So good to you, Colton. Hope you have a good one. Glad you stayed.
No hypotheticals.
No hypotheticals. That's right. No hypotheticals. But congratulations, Colton.
Speaking of tailgates, Bobby, I know you talked about this earlier in the week, but we've had a lot of people ask. We even have the super chat here from Hookem Troy. Thank you, Hookem Troy. On my way to Austin now. What's going down tomorrow before the game?
Well, Pat Green's in concert, by the way, before the game. I mean, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, I'm a big Pat Green guy. I mean, not because he went to Tech, but just because he's really good. But Bevo Boulevard will be rocking. You can say that to a few Clemson fans that are down there, I'm sure. But team bus arrives about 2 hours and 15 minutes before the game. If you haven't done that before, I think that'd be really cool. I think this team that would be really cool for the team to see even more support than normal on Bevo Boulevard. I think that'd be a great gesture by the Texas fans to thank them. Because, again, the only team that's been to back-to-back playoffs, that is saying something, in my opinion. So Bevo Boulevard, always a great time down there with thousands of fellow Texas fans. Flat Creek Wine, a lot of the places that are sponsors for us, and that places that we like to go hang out with the great people. Again, Pat Green in concert. If that doesn't get you ready for the game, I don't know what will.
Yeah. Look, we personally don't have a tailgate this week. We did not get one put together in conjunction with some folks that we normally do that with. But I will say this: Flat Creek Estate Winery, right across the Julius Whittier statue, as well as the Longhorn Hall of Fame on the north side of the stadium, is a great place. They've got some chairs and benches and stuff like that to kind of hang out and sit down before the game. They got some TVs, all that stuff that you'll need so you can see some games going on, et cetera. I would agree with Jerry. I mean, I think that if anybody can get out to see the team early, I think that would be ideal. Look, this team has been really good to Texas fans, in my opinion. They're 11-2, and at one point we're ranked number 1 in the country. That's rarefied air for Texas. And what they've done too is put Texas in the limelight 2 years in a row, not just one.
Yeah.
So it's not a scenario where we have to, is Texas a program or is it just a one-time thing? And I look at those guys like a Jahdae Barron, Quinn Ewers, Alfred Collins, now Anthony Hill, Manny Muhammad, Michael Taft. Barron Sorrell is a big part of that. All those offensive linemen, they deserve it. They deserve our best, in my opinion, because I think they've given us their best. So I would love to see as many people possible out there before the game, or not before the game, but around 2 hours and 15 minutes before, as they make their entrance and get ready. So I'm with Jerry on that. Try try to make that part of your pregame attendance on Saturday.
I think the thing with that stuff too that is maybe underrated a little bit is from a recruiting perspective, and there's not going to be high school recruits at the game unless they come with families and buy their own tickets. Texas isn't hosting guys, but it's all on social media. And that support, and I know we live in the NIL day and age, don't get me wrong, I get what this is about, but that's one of the really cool things that college football has. And that is a difference maker. The support of a team. I mean, how many times have you heard people talk about Kentucky's support of their basketball team and the fans of Kentucky basketball? And how many people showed up for the press conference when Mark Pope was announced? I mean, thousands of people greeting the Texas team, and that's put out all over social media. That's a really good thing for the program, for Sark and recruiting and the University of Texas athletics as a whole. I was going to Patrick Page, thank you. Randy Allen has won 5 state titles. I was wondering about that. They're out. Early 1245 Bevo Boulevard per Jason Washington. Thank you, Jason.
For the players, come in.
Yeah.
Game kicks around 3:00, and it's on. If you're not going to the game, it's going to be on TNT. So you're going to have to. So you're going to have to search around on your television beforehand. If you're anything like me and don't necessarily always go to those channels, you're going to have to figure out where that game is on. But look, just make it out if you're there and do what you can. That would be the thing that I would say as far as supporting the team, because you're only going to get – this is the last home game for sure. We can say that without question for the 2024 team, win or lose. And, you know, I'd like to see them go on a little 4-game run here. So why not put them in the best position to do that too by showing support?
Brady Shelton says, OTF, we have a tailgate called 4th and 5 near the LBJ lawn if y'all want to have a spot to go to as well. Thank you for that, Brady Shelton.
Thanks, Brady. Appreciate that.
And we got a super chat here from MJF. MJF, thank you. Says, we are blessed to have a team that plays with max effort all the time and represents UT well on and off the field. May they stay healthy and have strength to succeed on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is awesome because if you look at it, Blake, they in total, I mean, look, you're never going to get 85 guys all moving in the same direction. There's going to be 1 or 2. We all know that. It's just the way of the world. But Sark's had a healthy team. He's had a team that hasn't really been in the – I mean, it's not having the same problems as Kirby Smart in Georgia right now with, 10 to 12 guys having issues with the law. So I think that's good. And I think that Sark, you know, there's a healthy level of doing things the right way right now in Austin. Talking about somebody that used to do things.
I got to do the intro. Bobby and I are fighting over the intro. Look, Bobby with the Dobie, I went to Friendswood, right? And to this day, the best high school defensive lineman I've ever seen is Casey Hampton. And it looks playoff time. We had to bring Casey Hampton on, one of the all-time greats. Casey, thanks for joining the show this morning.
What's up, man? How y'all doing?
We're just talking about you. We're talking about you. Hey, how you doing these days, Casey? Tell everybody what you're up to, where you're living, and all that stuff, and then we'll talk a little Longhorn football.
Man, I ain't doing a whole lot. I'm back close to home out here in Clear Lake, Seabrook area. Just my son just graduated college. You know, he played ball out there in San Antonio at Trinity University. He just finished up this May. So just kind of been doing that, man, and just kind of been hanging out, man, and chilling. I did all the heavy lifting, man. Now it's time to max and relax and just chill, you know.
I gotcha. Hey, Casey, I tell you what, you've done a lot for the Longhorns. Played one of the, I think, the only defensive tackle I've ever heard of that had 100 tackles.
And will probably never happen again.
In a season. You had Sean Rogers as your kind of running buddy there, a bunch of other really high-quality players. What have you seen from this Texas defense the last couple of years that even is somewhat reminiscent of the way you guys used to play? Have you seen any kind of similarities?
No doubt, man. I think definitely with the defensive line. I think the talent level of the guys has changed. I think those guys are really, really talented, especially those guys last year that came out. The guys this year, and you can just see the difference in the talent level and the way the guys play. They play really hard. You can tell they're being well coached, using their hands. It's a different type of game, man. And you can just tell the way those guys are playing. It's not just great athletes. They're being coached well. You can really see it.
Hey Casey, I want to ask you, what is it you look for in a defensive lineman? What really impresses you on an interior defensive lineman when you see a guy?
I think the main thing with the guys, or just a D lineman in general, I think you got to have that motor. I think you got to be able to go no matter what. I think in today's game, man, they throwing the ball so much. I think just being in shape and being able to pass rush in today's game is very, very important, man. But my thing is I can teach them technique and things like that. But like Mike Tomlin always said, I want them to D lineman. I'd rather say whoa than sick them. I want them to be on that edge all the time and be ready to go. That's the kind of guy I want that had that edge to him.
You guys had some good teams at Texas. You know what the power of the Texas brand can be. Casey, you're part of making it what it is at some level. What do you see from afar right now at Texas? And I know you've come back some as well, but what do you really see from afar that makes you proud to be a Longhorn, or that you just want to comment about, I guess?
Man, I'm just happy to see those guys are back. It's like a lot of the times in the past, Texas, we think we're coming back and we say we're back, but I think this time you can really see it. I think you can really see it. I think it's a big difference this time. I think college football, man, I think to win, you got to have a quarterback. And we finally got a coach that can coach quarterback and get quarterbacks in here. So I think long as that's the case, we're always going to be in the game, man, because that's the college football game. If you don't have a good quarterback, man, you're not going to win, dude. And I think with Sark, we're always going to keep one. So I think that's the main thing with us right now.
So, Casey, we sat together in Baytown and watched Galveston ball. You happened to be watching Ball High when I went to watch Jonah. Jonah's the first G-ball guy to sign with Texas since you in football. So tell people what you've seen from Jonah. You know Jonah a little bit, kind of about Jonah and him as a player, what you've seen from him.
I went to quite a few games and checked him out. Actually talked to Jonah a few times, and Jonah's actually been over to the house and met him and just kind of just chopped it up with him and stuff like that, man. Different. That's what I can tell you, man. The dude is different than probably anything I've ever seen in high school. I don't know if it's the competition. I don't know what it is, man, but he just looks so different out there than all the rest of those guys, man. I think that the sky's the limit. I'm really interested to see how he'll transition because he's been so dominant and he's been so much better than everybody. I'm just really see the transition when he plays against guys on his level and watch how that raises his level of play because I know he got that dog in him. I'm not worried about that. So I'm just really excited about seeing him take that next step, playing that different competition and seeing how his talent translates to that. But I don't think he's going to have any kind of problem. He's a different type of athlete, man. Like I think the sky's the limit for that kid in either sport. That's what's crazy. It might be better than football.
Casey, I got to ask you this. Going back to your time at Texas, you play with a lot of great players, a lot of Longhorn legends now that are 20 years later, right? 25 years later, whatever it may be. Who are some of the guys on this team that you look at and say, man, I wish I played with that dude? Are there a player or two that you like? Oh, Anthony Hill, the linebacker, maybe, or somebody like that where you say, I wish I was playing with a dude that can knock heads like that.
Well, I think when I was there, man, we never had we had some linebackers, man, but I don't think we had any like that. That dude was the young kid, the outside, the defensive end, number 11. He gonna be an animal. The interior D line, man, those guys, man, 4.5 and 9.5, dude. I'm talking about get after it. You can see the thing changing with those guys, man. Those guys play at a high level, the whole game. Quite a few of those guys no doubt about it, could have definitely played with us. I don't think there's any question about it, man, because you can really see it. Quite a few of those guys could have played with us.
I think I wanted number 11 play on my team too. I'd make me look better. May have given you more one-on-ones instead of getting double teamed the whole time.
But man, that dude is so quick. I mean, I think he's just the tip of the iceberg of how good he's going to be. It's going to be unbelievable how good that kid's going to be.
Here's a super chat coming in from Travis Goodell. Casey, miss watching you play, brother. Made me a Steelers fan for a bit. And as an old Oilers fan, I cannot tell you that makes me sick. But at least when you were there, the Oilers were no more. So I didn't mind rooting for you every so often.
Well, you know, I grew up. I was an Oilers fan too, so don't feel bad. I got inducted into the Steelers Hall of Honor this past couple weeks. It was like 2 weeks ago. I was out there in Pittsburgh, and I had to do a little speech, and I made the mistake of telling the fans that I grew up an Oilers fan. And I got a few boos in the crowd, so that wasn't too good. You know what I mean? But it's all good though.
Hey, Casey, we're going to take a couple of viewer questions in a second, but I wanted to lead into that by asking you this. Growing up in Galveston, you had dreams, but did you ever think you'd be a Texas Hall of Honor, Pittsburgh Steelers Hall of Honor, 2-time Super Bowl champion? I mean, did you live out the complete dream? I mean, I know guys have dreams as a kid, but man, did you surpass your own?
Oh, no doubt. I mean, I could have never guessed that it would turn out especially on the field success and as far as at every level. I knew working hard and doing what I need to do, I had an opportunity to do some really, really good things, man. But the blessings that have come to me, man, I couldn't have even imagined that I would be this blessed to have the type of career that I've had at every single level, man. It's crazy.
I wanted to ask you this too. So Texas is getting ready for a playoff game. You've won Super Bowls, man. I mean, like, what's the mindset a team has to have, a player has to have going into this right now? Because Texas wins 4 games, they're a national champion. I mean, what's the mindset? Where do these guys need to be at mentally?
I think, man, your mindset should be the same all the time, man. You got to go into every game wanting to win the game. In that game, singularly focus on that one game. I think you get into worrying about the next game and this and that. I think, man, just going in, dominating that one. It's simple. Going in, dominating that one game that you're going into, play your best game, and let the chips fall where they may, man. Everything's in the preparation. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you go out there and prepare the whole week, prepare the whole year the way you've been preparing, I mean, going out of the game is fun time. It's time to go out there and shine and do your thing, man. So I think all the hard work is done in preparation, man. When they go out there, man, just go out there, have fun, and let your head down and do your thing.
All right. We talked to Rod Babers about this the other day, and he said that, you know, in college, he feared you as much as anybody. CSM, Rod B always tells stories of how he feared accountability from Casey on the sidelines. The exact story is this. Apparently, he allowed like a 3rd and 19 pass on maybe a Nebraska or somebody like that. And you went over to him on the sidelines and said, Rob B, we ain't going to allow those no more, are we? Do you remember that? Or was that just you did that all the time to whoever? Or was it just Rod B that you made shaking his boots?
Rod sounds pretty accurate, man. I was pretty tough on my DBs, man. I don't know. I couldn't understand, man. I couldn't understand on down the distance, man. All you got to do is keep them in front of the chains, dude. How you going to let them get behind you like that? But I just always kind of been like that, man. I stay on my DBs, you know, just holding guys accountable, and I take it too. You know, when I'm not out there doing what I'm supposed to do, hey, man, get on my ass too. You know, it's the same thing, man. It's all about accountability, man. And when you family, you can get on each other like that, man. But that's just how it was. I was always kind of like that. They say I always complain. I was always complaining of getting mad at somebody. But, you know, hey, everybody got to be held to the same standard, right?
There you go.
Hey, Casey, I gotta ask you a high school question at G-Ball. So if the stats were accurate, you had 54 tackles for loss. I'm not sure if that was your junior year or senior year. But if I said you had 54 tackles for loss, would you say, yeah, that's right, or no, the stats are off, I had actually more? I mean, I saw you play a lot because my dad was coaching the district, and you lived in the backfield, and you actually made a center cry at Sam Rayburn High School, by the way. But Was that? I mean, 54 tackles for loss. Is that accurate? Do you have more?
That might be a little low. You know? Nah, I don't know, man. You know, in high school, man, you know, when you get your huckleberry, man, you kind of pray on the weekend and you kind of pass that on some of them games. So I'm pretty sure some of them games I kind of went crazy a little bit and pat it. When you get you one on the hook, you got to take advantage of them. You know what I mean? So definitely had no.
I remember Nick Voris was your head coach late in your career there. Ron Holmes was on that staff as well at Ball High. You grew up around some good guys, dude, and had some good teammates as well at Ball High. Y'all made a run a little bit in the playoffs that year as well. Any further questions for Casey?
I got to ask you. Hey, we've had Big Sean on the show. Now, I mean, you play with great players now, so tell us what made Sean what he was, man, from your perspective.
I think Sean probably, Big Baby is probably top 5 all around best athletes that I played with.
Wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying, in the NFL, college, anywhere. Like it's unbelievable, you know, how athletic he is. Like as far as like running, jumping, playing basketball, he's still like it's crazy, man. So I think his talent was so crazy, and he didn't really tap it all when he was in college like he could, but you've seen it all the way when he got healthy in the NFL, man. He's just an unbelievable athlete. Like I've never really seen a guy that size be that athletic.
I saw him at like 310, 315 do a backflip.
Yeah, 310, that probably was in high school.
Hey, by the way, legend around Galveston Ball has it that when Casey was around 290 in high school, he could stand under a basket and dunk a basketball. Is that legend true too?
I was pretty athletic, man. That was a long time ago, man. So, you know, I went from 225 to 285 my junior year, like over 1 year. So, you know what I mean? So I could still get up, but when I got that weight on me, it took me a little time to catch my athleticism up with the weight. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was just natural for me to be a big guy like that.
I think we got another super chat that came in for your question.
Yeah, we do, from Patrick Page, and he says, Casey, when's the last time that you talked to Courtney Garcia?
Oh man. Yeah, boy, hey, L, my boy right there, man. Hey, me and my boy Cedric Woodard, man, we were just talking about Pimp the other day. Man, that boy, man, he would put on some shows. That boy, hey, I ain't talked to him in a while, man, but that was my guy, man. That was really my guy.
His son's on our channel all the time and always comments. So, hey, by the way, we had one. Buck Travis asked, "Who was the best trash talker you played with? Texas NFL. Who was it? Was it you?"
Oh no, I definitely wasn't. Probably.
Oh, that's interesting.
Probably Joey Porter or Larry Foote. You know what I mean? Those two guys, but Joey Porter was top, man. Larry Foote, man, he just wouldn't stop, man. You couldn't even get him to call defense. They had to let somebody. He was over there fussing after every play, man. He wouldn't even call a play. So I think Larry Foote was probably the worst. And then he was bad because he'll start shit with your guy. I mean, can you block him today? Can I get a tackle? Like, Foote, man, this dude sleep, man. Let him stay asleep. Why are you waking him up to bother me, man? Like, he good. We doing a good thing over here. So, but Foote, man, he's a major shit talker. Ain't no doubt about
that. Casey, thank you so much. We appreciate your time greatly. Thank you for all you've done for the University of Texas, and best of luck in your future, father, and just an all-around good dude. We appreciate you, man. Take care of yourself.
Appreciate y'all guys having me, man.
Hey, hook 'em, dude. Hook 'em. Take care of yourself. All right, good stuff.
One of the greats, man. One of the greats. I tell Bobby all the time, fair or not to these kids in high school football. And I told Casey this at that night in Galveston when we were watching Ball High play, or that night in Baytown. I judge all defensive linemen against him because his motor was dominant. His motor made him what he was, along with the athletic gifts. And that's fair or not. That's what I judge defensive linemen against. Bobby, do they have that motor? Because that guy had the best motor I've ever seen.
Yeah. I'll never forget going in there his senior year, and Nick Voris was his head coach at the time. And literally They were sitting there. Their pregame ritual at Ball High was to watch the movie Rudy. And you see this guy, 300-pound guy, and he's sitting there. He's laser focused on Rudy. Anyways, good stuff. All right, we got to make up some time here and talk a little bit about a couple of our sponsors. The holidays are here. It's Christmas time. It's nearly time to stuff those stockings. You can do just that with Tile. While it's the most wonderful time of the year, it also presents a ton of challenges, whether you're staying at home or traveling like I am right now. It's busy season, and keeping track of what matters most to you this season can feel more hectic than merry. So stress less this holiday season by stocking up on Life 360's Tile trackers. When you're worried about your family's safety or something goes missing, just use the Tile app. The good news is that with Tile, you don't have to worry. Just ring your Tile when something goes missing, like your car keys or your wallet, and you can track it down with their location on the map. You can also add your Tile trackers to your Life 360 app and see your family and all of your family stuff in just one spot. Family proof your family with Life 360's Tile trackers. Visit tile.com today and use code ONTEXAS to get 15% off. That's tile.com, code ONTEXAS.
Thank you for that, Bobby. And I'm going to let everyone out there know about future fans. And have you ever tried to explain football to a little kid? It's near impossible to make it make sense. Personally, I coach kindergarten flag football this fall. I can tell you firsthand, it's a tough task. It's like herding cats. But I'm here to tell you about Future Fan Sports. It's a new brand that helps little kids become big football fans by embedding the rules of football into parallel games and activities that make it easy for a kid to understand. The way they teach in these storybook-led activity boxes is absolutely genius. Here's an example. Instead of trying to explain downs in football, they have a kid play a beanbag toss game with things like 4 tries and 6 points embedded into it. And then later, they connect those games to football through the storybook that guides the entire Future Fans experience. The dads who invented this game have it figured out for the rest of us. It's honestly the easy button for getting your kid to fall in love with the game. Imagine your kid asking to watch on Saturdays with you or being right there alongside of you for all the ups and downs with the Longhorns. That's what dreams are made of. And Future Fans exist to make them a reality. Plus, it's only $49.99. So go to futurefans.com to check them out. Again, that's futurefans.com and get your kid ready for a Longhorn playoff run. Okay, guys, we got more super chats we need to get to. And going back to Sark and the presser earlier, I believe is what this is in regards to. Burt Reynolds Jr. says, Sark's eyes were bloodshot. He looks exhausted. He must be burning the midnight oil to get the game plan just right.
And Jerry mentioned this. It's not just the game plan. This is the portal.
There's a lot going on.
And it's not just incoming. It's potential outgoing. I mean, the college football coaches right now, especially the ones that are coaching in the playoff, they are juggling a lot of things, unquestionably, right? I mean, Jerry,
yeah,
it's unheard of what they're trying to juggle right now. I mean, they just got out of signing day for the high schools. At least that used to be in February. Now that's the first weekend of December. Then their kids can go into the portal on December 9th. Then he had to play in a SEC championship game. And now you got the first year of the college football playoff. When's he breathe?
Yeah.
I mean, and to Jerry's point earlier, who in their right mind wants to be hosting recruits on the same week you're in the college football playoff? Because if you're a football coach, a true football coach, you're thinking about what you want to do is win a championship. You don't want to cloud that with recruiting, right? I mean, with having to host portal prospects. Now, you know, maybe if you don't take much time off of it or in it, then it makes sense. But I tell you, it's tough on coaches right now. He was a little feisty yesterday in his press conference, and I get it. I don't have a problem with it.
All right, guys, y'all are over at Duck Camp headquarters in Austin right now. But, and I know we talked about this earlier, but John came in here with the super chat, and he wants to know where you're going to be on Saturday. He believes that Quinn will silence his doubters. And what do you guys think about that?
I think Quinn is going to have a good game against Clemson. I think Clemson gives up big plays. One, if Texas can block TJ Parker effectively, I think Texas is going to make plays in the passing game. I could see a return of Jaden Blue in the short passing game as well against Clemson. It's a different linebacker group than Georgia. But I think something Will Matthews said as well is get Trey Wisner established in the run game, which Clemson has the worst run defense statistically of any team in the college football playoff. So Trey Wisner should have a good game. And if Texas establishes that, now Sark's going to pass to set up the run. I think we all know that. That's the statistics tell you early in games in the script. But I think there's going to be plays there for Quinn to make in the passing game. I think he should have a good game.
And then our next one, guys, comes from Jackson Arnold's agent. And he says, I got Auburn to overpay for Jackson, but how can I get us to overspend or get – I guess he's talking about Auburn. How can I get us to overspend for the Branch brothers?
Well, they're at Georgia right now, and they're probably going to be at Arizona State this weekend, and we'll see if Oregon takes a swing at it. We'll see if Texas takes a swing at it. The Branch brothers are interesting because Zachariah he's going to play no matter what. It should be a starting receiver and return man wherever he goes. He's that level talent. Zion, his older brother, has been injured since high school. He's played. I think he played 10 games this year, 9 the year before, but he hadn't had a fully healthy season since high school. I think he was injured for the year, his redshirt year. Took a redshirt because it was a longer recovery from an injury that year. But who sees that from an NIL perspective for both of those guys? Where does that come out in the wash, Bobby? And then there's also the Branch family looking at, they know Zach's going to play wherever he goes. Where's Zion going to have a good chance to play among the same schools they're looking at? So there's a lot in that recruitment that colleges have to kind of work through, and the branches have to work through to find that perfect fit for all parties involved.
The one thing we can say is that Texas would have some interest, we hear.
Yes.
And there hasn't been many that they have had interest in, Jerry. They've only brought 4 guys, or I guess now 5 guys in for official visits.
Yeah.
They've signed 3. The 2 left out there are Eric Singleton, the wide receiver out of Georgia Tech, and Max Clare, the tight end out of Purdue. Just updates on those. Singleton's supposed to be at Auburn. He was at Auburn yesterday. I'm not sure if he's still there. Auburn and Texas expected to be the final choices. I do think that Auburn thinks they have him kind of go in that direction, but Texas had not given up hope as of yesterday. Max Clare was at Louisville earlier this week. Ohio State now trying to give chase. He had already visited both Texas and Texas A&M. I think Texas felt a little bit better about their situation than A&M, but with Ohio State coming about, and he's a native Ohioan, no telling where this heads at this point, although we do know Texas likely wants to take at least one tight end through the transfer portal.
And then let's go to high school recruiting for a moment, because James McDaniel wants to know, Jerry, who are your favorite 2026 wide receivers in the state? Who's your top 4, maybe, if you have a top 4 at this
Chris
point?
Stewart is one over at Shadow Creek, I'm sure. Jalen Lott.
Yeah, well, so that's how I was going to start with. Jalen Lott is a corner or receiver, so He's different. He's in that athlete category. For me, I think Texas has recruited him more at defensive back early. I think Terry Joseph has been more of a contact there. It's Blake Gideon. I think school he recruits a little bit up there. So that one's interesting. Caden Finley, Jermichael's Finley's son. Texas really likes Caden Finley. I really like Caden Finley. I feel like he's maybe a bigger version of DeAndre Moore, if that makes sense.
Oh, interesting.
And maybe a bigger version of that in terms of how he plays the game. I think there's, there out-of-state guys that I can tell you that are very, very good in Texas, really, really likes. Aaron Gregory out of Douglas, Georgia, is currently committed to A&M Douglas County. He's a guy Texas really likes. Caden Dixon Wyatt out of Mater Dei in Santa Ana, California. He's been on campus multiple times. Texas really likes him. I think he's a bigger maybe version of Dalen McCutcheon there is what I would say about Caden Dixon. Bigger meaning taller. Then Naeem Burrows at bowl school in Jacksonville can really fly. And it's not just track speed. He's fast on a football field and a grass field too, by the way, when he plays on those. 10-6, maybe around 10-5 this year. I think he's a guy that's very, very good as well. So those are some of the top receivers that I think are on the board at Texas. But look, there's so many talented wide receivers, offensive line, wide receivers, running backs in Texas in 2026. I think are the top position groups. And I don't be shocked if a couple other guys pop up at wideout coming up here for Texas that get serious looks.
There you go. And then our next one, guys, comes from Jack. No stranger to the show. Thank you, Jack, as always. He says, Horns, please stop. At DKR, we have worn burnt orange for 100+ years. We win in burnt orange. And, of course, Texas will be in burnt orange on Saturday.
That was Jack's response to being in the icy whites at a home game. Look, Texas has been good in any color the last 2 years, right? So let's just go win this game. That I don't care what uniform they wear, as long as Texas has one more point than Clemson on Saturday around 6:30 in the afternoon or early evening. I'm gonna be happy. That's the focus.
And then Ben here with the super chat. Ben says, who are your player of the game predictions for tomorrow? One on offense, one on defense.
Offense, I went with Trey Wisner earlier in the week. I'll stick with it because if he has a 100+ yard game tomorrow, I think very good things happen for Texas football. And I'm at 34-20 as my prediction score. Whether that's right or wrong, we'll find out, or close. Defensively is really interesting. Man, Anthony Hill's kind of an answer for this game because maybe spying Klubnik a little bit and stopping Phil Moffitt in the run game is going to be so critical. I think Anthony Hill needs to have a really big game, so I'm going with Anthony Hill.
Going with Quinn Ewers, who lost to Cade Klubnik.
There you go.
4 years ago when they played on offense. And then I'm going with Andrew Makuba, who was Cade Klubnik's teammate the last couple of years.
Bobby's getting sentimental late in the chat.
No, I'm just – I think – here's what I do think this. Klubnik has not turned the ball over much at all this year through the air. He has had some fumble issues. But I think that Texas is going to have enough of a pass rush to bait Klubnik into something. Yeah. They're going to need to do that once or twice in this game. And I think whether it's Michael Taft or Andrew Makuba or Jahdae Barron, somebody's going to do that for Texas.
Yeah.
And so I'm just going with Makuba in that regard.
And then Carlos here says he's drinking Monster and Mountain Dew. Carlos, I bet you were wired up this morning. He says, I'm getting ready to drive up from Rio Grande Valley. Yeah. Man, pedal to the metal for you, I bet. See you all at the co-op this afternoon to pick up some playoff gear. Hook 'em. And thanks for all you do.
I want to mention that. Thank you, Carlos, for bringing that to our attention or getting it back in the front of my mind. We'll be at the co-op. Bobby, Rod Babers, myself, 3 to 4 Longhorn live stream. Also at the co-op at that time, Texas women's basketball team doing a meet and greet for Texas fans. So if you're just coming to listen to the ugly faces, I mean, you don't have to do that. The women's basketball team will be there too, so you can meet and greet the Texas women's basketball team from 3 to 5 at the co-op today. They have all the Texas playoff gear there as well, college football playoff gear. I saw that at the Fanatic shop a couple of days. They were unloading days ago. They were unloading boxes. So co-op today, 3 to 4 for Longhorn live stream. Rod Babers, myself, Bobby, and then the Texas women's basketball team also doing a meet and greet from 3 to 5.
There you go. Good stuff there. And then Jeff Carey says, Blake, there's an interesting story on CNBC related to college sports program valuations. I brought it up. I haven't got a chance to really deep dive into it yet, Jeff, since I saw your super chat. But take a look at them real quick, guys. Ohio State ranked number 1 with a $1.32 billion valuation. Wow. Texas at 2 with 1.28. Texas A&M at 3 with 1.26. Of course, these are billions, remember. And then Michigan, Alabama, Notre Dame, Georgia, Nebraska, Tennessee, and OU are your top 10 there.
Any surprises?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of the top 10 are in the college football playoffs. So let's see who the underperformers are. Oh, number 3.
Yeah, and 10.
Just saying.
Well, they're all SEC and Big Ten.
Bobby's leading me into this, and I hate to be that guy.
You don't hate to be that guy.
I mean,
you are that guy. What do you mean you hate to be that guy?
Spending, budgets, valuations is always really high, yet they haven't done anything since 1939, man. I mean, like, golly, it's like at some point.
We were talking about this earlier before we went on air. I thought if you were to sit here and tell me who's going to be the first or the next Texas team to make a college football playoff, my bet would not be on the Aggies.
You go Texas
Tech?
Tech?
I'd go Texas Tech or Baylor at A&M because they're playing in the Big 12. A&M's not going to be a top 4 team in the SEC next year. No chance.
Yeah. They
graduate too much. Other teams get better. No way A&M's in the top 4 in the SEC next year. No, I think Tech would be probably a 25% chance to win the Big 12 next year. They're more likely to make it next year than A&M. So, anyways.
They're the well, never mind. I'm not going to say that because I love the guy.
Who?
I was going to say they're the college version of Charles Barkley. They talk a lot and don't do anything. They don't win the big one. But I love Charles Barkley on TNT. I'm going to miss him a lot, and he's one of my favorite athletes of all time. So I don't want to put that hate on CB.
It's okay. He came from an agricultural school as well.
I like how you said I'm not going to say it, then immediately.
Yeah. It just takes a little goading with all I got to do is poke Jerry in the side and it comes out.
These roomy fat pants. That's a name if I've ever seen one. Thank you for your super chat. Says with Mateer signing with OU, how good is the Red River rivalry game going to be with Arch Hookem from Northeast Wisconsin, Clemson 14, Texas 30.
I'd love to see that score. I think Mateer is a talented player. Let's see what he does with the lights on in bigger games, because I'm not sure he's played in a bunch of those. He's only been a starter at Washington State for a year, by the way.
Yeah.
You got to remember Cam Ward was a starter 2 years ago. So is he talented? Yes. Is he good? Yes. Is he better than what A&M was going to play with? Yes. Let's see how much better.
It's interesting to see if Oklahoma puts the pieces around him. I mean, that's going to be a big deal is can they put the pieces around him? Because, obviously the Baker Mayfield comparisons have started. Well, look at the players that were around Baker and then Kyler. I mean, is Oklahoma going to be able to get the guys around him?
Mark Andrews is not on that roster. CD Lamb is not on that roster.
Yep.
Joe Mixon is not on that roster.
Offensive lineman.
Yeah. Three first-round picks are not on that roster.
No big deal, Brent. Go get it done.
and John Mateer. Go get it done. Yeah.
I mean, Mateer, you can't maximize him if you can't put the pieces around him. He's not Lenore Sellers. And as South Carolina has some good parts on defense and a couple on offense and a really good running back. Or they did. He's graduating. But this is not Lenore Sellers where you're just going to take off and go win games with your feet if nothing else is there.
Derek Smith, 55. We appreciate your super chat. Nick Shula from Third and Longhorn found a very telling stat that Clemson is negative 54 in the fourth quarter. If we're up in the fourth, that's the ball game. Hook 'em.
I do think we talked about that earlier in the week. CJ Vogel had made mention of that fourth quarter defense, Clemson struggles. And I think it's because of what Bobby said earlier in the week. It's depth, lack of depth. And it's Dabo. And I appreciate Dabo's been great for college football, is great for college football. He built something. He rebuilt a program that was down for a long time, and he did it while Spurrier was dominating at South Carolina. You give him credit for that. But same time as the hard-headedness in the portals, why that stat exists in my mind with Clemson right now. Because they have really good frontline players, but they don't have the depth they should have for a team that won 2 national titles a few years ago. They have the ability to recruit like they did. They just have it. The inability to adapt until now in the portal has hurt his program. And now he's going to try to correct it, and let's see if he can.
I think it's also something that they don't score as much in the fourth quarter, and that's because Lincoln Riley had this issue too at Oklahoma, and Garrett Riley is his brother and the offensive coordinator at Clemson. People get used to the play calls they've had, and that fourth quarter can be tough if you don't have superior talent, and especially on the offensive line. So it's not just the defense having less depth. I think some of it has to do with offensive production in that fourth quarter.
Hey, by the way, I saw a stat. I think somebody mentioned this earlier in the chat this week. Maybe you, Blake. I can't remember. Tennessee-Ohio State game. Ohio State's 1-14, 1-13 in their last 14 games against SEC opponents. 1-13 in their last 14 games against SEC opponents. See if they break that streak Saturday night.
Okay, and we got some more super chats. Ben wants to know: would you guys ever bring on Sergio Kindle?
Ben, you just let us know how to get him in blue. I'd love to have Sergio on.
I think he's at Dallas White or Dallas Wilson right now.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, as an assistant coach.
Maybe I'll stop by and see him. I'm going to be up there soon, seeing prospects.
And then everyone, of course, loved Casey being on, including Fred 90s Caddy Johnson. He says, another great interview. You guys are killing the game. Hook 'em, sting 'em, Hornets. Last night.
There you go.
Wait, sting 'em, Hornets 93. Who is that? What am I missing, Fred? Who's the Hornets?
Only Hornets I can think of off the top of my head is Gatesville. And I know you're not talking about Gatesville. I don't know.
Alvin, the Yellow Jacket?
No. Is that Friendswood Smack Talk? No. Freddie, tell us who that Stingham Hornets is in 93.
Yeah, we'll circle back around. Jackson Miles wants to know if I can get it to show up, what will win/lose us the Clemson game?
Not corralling Cade Klubnik, not having a run game, and bad turnovers. Those are the three. That would lose it.
Oh, Athens Hornets. There you go. Athens, Texas Hornets. Okay. Yeah, I think turnovers in your own end of the field, giving a team the belief that they can walk in and pull the upset, because Dabo's going to have a us against the world mentality. You know what's coming. We've seen it all before. Turnovers on your own end of the field do not help the underdog in your home stadium. I think a fast start on offense is big in this game. I do think that depth will wear Clemson down, but I think getting off to a clean, good start on offense for confidence purposes, I think is big in this game for Texas.
Caldwell Hornets. Oh, boy. Jason Carter, Caldwell Hornet.
Jason, yeah, there you go. There's a lot of them. Yeah, Menard, Yellow Jacket.
Chris Kasurk, I think, was from Caldwell.
Yes, he was.
Yep, defensive tackle. Thanks, Freddie.
Yep.
Huntsville Hornets.
Ooh,
Huntsville Hornets. So that was did they win state in 93?
Home of Tavondre Sweat.
Yeah, that they had. Who was the old time coach that had a lot of success? His kids were playing quarterback. Coach
Clements.
Yes, Randy Clements.
Yeah. No, not Randy. It was Chuck. Chuck Clements was Chuck and Steve were the sons.
Yeah.
Before we do our last few questions here, Bobby, I'm going to let everybody know about BKCW one last time.
Yeah, every Friday episode of Coffee and Football brought to you by our friends at BKCW. If you've had a insurance business renewal and of late, and they really haven't done much for you, it's because you've been stuck in what we call the insurance trap. BKCW takes you out of the insurance trap by providing you and your business with actual risk management consultant, not just price quoting. Operating out of its headquarters in Austin and owned by a UT grad, BKCW uses a 5-step process to identify your business's weak spots, design a plan, execute it, and monitor your situation throughout the year so that you can lower your insurance costs and effectively manage your company's risk and employee benefits. As you all know, renewals coming up right now. It's that time of year. Make sure you look into BKCW to see if they have better rates and better service for you and your business. You're always got to be trying to improve in your business, and one of your insurance can be one of those factors in it. Get started with a free risk assessment at bkcw.com or send an email to info@bkcw.com to get started and get the support you deserve.
It's 420 somewhere made me laugh. Charlotte Hornets. Yeah, that was Michael Jordan's last ownership dance. Even he wanted out of that deal.
Oh, man. All right. A few more here before we wrap up, fellas. Jose Rodriguez says, we know Sark doesn't like hypotheticals. So we definitely learned that yesterday. But what team would win and what would the score be if Texas had Klubnik and Clemson had Quinn? It's definitely a hypothetical.
I don't know. I don't know what to say about that because there's Sark schemes receivers open so well.
Yeah.
And Quinn is a better thrower of the football, more natural thrower of the football. Klubnik, though, makes more off-schedule plays, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does.
And so I don't know that it's appreciably different if the quarterbacks change. I'll be honest. I think that Texas would be a different team with a different look than what they are right now. That's a little bit different. But I don't know that the score is appreciably different.
And then
if Quinn holds serve against Cade Klubnik, by the way, if Quinn holds serve against Cade Klubnik on Saturday, Texas wins.
Well, we're going to stay on the Quinn talk here for just a moment because Jeff Carey says, Jerry/Blake, what is Quinn's QBR quarterback rating in the red zone? And I look for it, Jerry. I don't know if you know it off the top of your head. I couldn't find it, but I did find some of these stats. These are all red zone stats for Quinn Ewers, and then his rank into parentheses there among the 12 college football playoff quarterbacks. That's as close as you get for red zone stats for Quinn in the minimum amount of time that I had.
Among the 12. So basically he's 11th out of 12, 8th out of 12, 12 out of 12, 11 out of 12, and 8 out of 12.
And passing efficiency, completion rate, yards per attempt, air yards per attempt, and touchdown rate.
That'll tell you part of your issue in the red zone right there.
Yeah.
So I will continue to look for you though, Jeff Carey. I'll see what I can find, but I don't know that off the top of my head, and I wasn't able to easily Google it in the meantime. And then Parth Brooks, thank you for your supers as always. 23-9 Texas. Hook 'em, boys. No turnovers on our side of the field, and we don't give up a touchdown. Let's go.
Woo.
That would be big.
That would be big. I think, look, Clemson makes big plays in the passing game.
They have good players.
Yeah. Jake Briningstool's a good player at tight end, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I don't think Texas is going to hold them without a touchdown. I do think they can limit Clemson's running game and make them one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And when you do that just plays in your hand in so many different ways. Hopefully that's the case. I don't know that they're going to be able to hold them touchdownless, though. Clemson makes too many big plays.
They have multiple future NFL players at wide receiver. Briningstool playing the league on some level, I'm sure. But the crazy thing about this game is the game plan's pretty much the same, I think, for both teams. Take away the run and make the quarterback beat you single-handedly.
Yep.
Who's going to do it? I think it's pretty much the same.
All
and
right.
There's the game within the game of it. But I think both teams are looking at this the same.
There you go. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of Coffee and Football presented by BKCW. I want to thank them along with Duck Camp, where the guys are currently hanging out and have been for the past 2 days. Tile, Future Fans, Manscaped, and Factor. A big thank you for sponsoring today's show. Thanks for everybody tuning in, all the super chats. Bobby, it's an action-packed weekend right here on Texas Football. Tell folks what they can expect today and then throughout the weekend.
Yeah, our week of college football playoff coverage sponsored by our friends at Duck Camp continues later today. We'll be over at the University Co-op at 3 o'clock from 3 to 4. Jerry and myself, Rod Babers of maybe CJ Vogel will join us. Maybe one of the women's basketball team might join us as well. We'll see if they can stop by and say hello. But also, we've got a lot of coverage coming out tomorrow. Saturday conversation begins at 7 a.m. Myself, Rod, and CJ talk there. Then we have the pregame Texas tailgate. That'll happen around 11 tomorrow. Then we have the watch with us and followed up by our postgame show. Myself, Brian Robeson, and Rod Babers all talking about what happens, hopefully talking about a Longhorn victory and Texas heading to the Peach Bowl in Atlanta to play Arizona State. But first, they got to beat the Clemson Tigers.
All right. And be sure to head on over to ontexasfootball.com as well. If you're not a member, you can become one very easily. Just use promo code OTFOG. You'll get a full year for $39.95. Again, promo code OTFOG at ontexasfootball.com. Take advantage of that deal today. And we would also appreciate if you would press that like and subscribe button if you haven't already. We couldn't do it without you guys. We thank you all for your support as we close in on 67,000 subscribers. That's absolutely insane to me. Well, we will be back on Monday morning. Hope you all have a great weekend. Hope we come back and we talk about that big Texas win on Monday. So for Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton, I'm Blake Monroe, and we'll see you then.